How'd you feel, AJ?
Could have been better, but we got there in the end. Watch out.
Oh, thank you.
Could have been better, but we got there in the end.
Curious, man. How does Power feel in there?
It was alright.
Yeah. Did you? Were you surprised he lasted as long as he did?
Huh?
What did you do? Were you surprised he lasted as long as he did?
Kinda.
No. What do you think? Good fight.
Yeah.
Good fight. Listen, respect to Jake. You know, he was a tough guy in there. Obviously, he moved a lot and made it difficult for AJ. And AJ's been out of the ring for a while. He's a bit rusty. It took him time to just get hold of him, but I was impressed with Jake. And listen, as I said to Nikisa, at the end of the day, he took shots that a lot of people would have got knocked out, clean out by, especially at the end, you know. So,
Was it frustrating for you to watch?
No, I mean, maybe, like, obviously, when someone's moving like that, like, it's going to take you a while to get hold of them, and when they're rugby tackling you, but he had to do what he had to do to survive.
The Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight felt like one of those moments where boxing reality and modern spectacle collide head on. Not politely, not quietly, but right in the middle of the ring where there's nowhere to hide. From the opening bell, the tension wasn't just about punches, it was about eras.
I'm just so proud of him. That was incredible. In my view, that was a victory on all fronts.
Right.
Like, minus the actual victory, of course, but bro, like, no one expected him to last 6 rounds with AJ. In my opinion, he won 4 of them. People will argue that. He at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fighting, man. Like, that's toughness.
Time, and you gotta realize, you know, Jake Paul had his hands down.
Yeah.
He was basically waiting for that knockout.
Absolutely. And where is the Tyson Fury Joshua fighting happening now?
Yeah, it should happen. I think it should happen.
Who wins it? Who wins it?
Oh, don't ask me too soon. It's too soon for that, man.
Excuse me, Lennox. I'm sorry.
I miss you, Lennox.
Hey, what's going on,
up,
buddy?
Man? Good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Just let me know your thoughts on Jake going 6 rounds with AJ.
You know, the fact that he did that, it was good because, you know, we didn't think it was going to go 6 rounds. We thought it was going to go 2. So the fact that he made 6 rounds is an accomplishment for Jake Paul.
Identities and pride sharing the same canvas. Jake moved with that familiar confidence, loose shoulders, eyes locked in like he believed the script was already written in his favor, while Joshua carried himself like a man who's lived through pressure before and knows exactly how loud silence can get in a fight this big.
Back in the US, you got the finish that you desired, but can you kind of talk about the frustration of dealing with Jake's movement? Is that what you expected out of him in this fight? And were the things that you think about that was like, I could have done something a little bit better to end this night early?
So there was 2 things that could have happened in the fight. Jake would have either come full steam ahead 100 miles an hour, or Jake would have moved around the ring 100 miles an hour. There's 2 things I would have done. Tried to shut Jake down at 100 miles an hour, or I would have gone on the back foot. So Jake decided to move around the ring, and I decided to put the pressure on.
Were you impressed the fact that Jake lasted so long, or I don't know, what's your take on it?
Not really. I expected that, you know.
You expected him to last?
I mean, I expected Jake to fight the way he fought.
Right.
You know, trying to stay away. You don't know if how long that's gonna last. You know, Joshua has something to say about that. So you don't know, but I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised.
I tried when I could. It was a bit messy, but from a systematical breakdown, the right hand landed, it found its home, and the referee waved it off after. Did he get counted out, or did the ref wave it off?
I believe he got counted out.
So the right hand found its home.
Out,
I would have loved to have landed some more body shots, but it weren't for tonight, maybe in the future, but we got the job done in the end anyway.
Every exchange felt loaded, not wild, not reckless, but heavy with meaning, as if both guys understood that every step, every feint, every breath was being judged by 2 completely different audiences watching for 2 completely different reasons. The crowd buzzed between excitement and disbelief, reacting to moments that felt less like a typical boxing match and more like a cultural checkpoint for the sport itself.
Just to follow up on Jake, he said he broke his jaw in the aftermath. Has he gone to hospital? What's the health update on Jake?
Yeah, we think he broke his jaw. He's fine. We met with Netflix afterwards. He took a shower. He drove himself to the hospital. A broken jaw is very common in sports, particularly in boxing or MMA, and I think the recovery time from the doctors and surgeons we've already talked to is 4 to 6 weeks.
Fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna see a time when I'm gonna take your soul and you're either gonna give up or you're gonna get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw tonight, Jake has spirit. He has some heart. He tried his best.
You could sense Joshua measuring distance, choosing patience over impulse, while Jake leaned into belief and timing, trying to prove that preparation and confidence can bend expectations. It wasn't chaos, it wasn't a circus, it was controlled intensity, flashes of ambition meeting experience, momentum constantly shifting without ever fully tipping. And that's what made it compelling, not knowing which philosophy would hold when the lights were brightest, the ring smallest, and the margin for error completely gone.
Yeah, I knew we were going to beat him, but I didn't expect it to go as many rounds as it did. And I think Jake deserves a huge amount of credit because I know he ran and held, but he did throw shots at times. But where I think he deserves credit is he took some punishment. And that shot was a similar right hand that flattened Ngannou and put him to sleep. And I know it shattered Jake Paul's jaw and broke his jaw, but he was, I mean, it wasn't okay, but he was on, he was awake. So I've got to give him credit. I think he's a crazy
Yeah, I don't give y'all ain't giving him enough credit.
Did you see it like ending, like the way it was going?
Man, Jake Paul landed some punches, bro. Some crazy punches, man. It's good. It's not his weight class.
Right. I was gonna say he landed that right hand flush and it didn't seem to do anything.
Not his weight class.
Right. So what's next? Is it keep fighting? Do you think you did well enough to keep fighting?
I want to see Jake Paul in there again.
You want to see him again?
I want to see him. And I'm trying to think of with who, but you guys don't give Jake Paul enough credit, bro.
It wasn't just a fight unfolding, it was a question playing out in real time, one round at a time, asking whether boxing respects only history, or whether it sometimes allowed the future to knock on the door before it's invited in. What made it even heavier was the body language between rounds, the way both corners spoke like they were solving different puzzles under the same clock. You could feel the energy tighten as the fight went on.
You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet, who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 6 inches taller. That's insane. He's one of the most skilled fighters on the planet. My brother, as a YouTuber, went 6 rounds with him in a fight with a broken jaw and rolled ankle. I'm so proud of him. That was just unbelievable.
Not because of panic, but because both men understood that one small adjustment could swing everything. The ring became a pressure chamber, stripping away hype, stripping away narratives, leaving nothing but skill, nerve, and the willingness to stay composed when the moment demands everything at once.
And I take my hat off to him because, number one, a lot of fighters haven't got in the ring with me and Jake did. And secondly, even when he got knocked down, he kept on trying to get up. And I take my hat off to him. So America, I think you have someone who could potentially, if he still has the heart for it, come back again, dust the dirt off his shoulder and come again and maybe sell out this center sometime in 2026. Maybe against a Gervonta Davis, a Ryan Garcia, who knows?
Eddie Hearn spoke post-fight about the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, about like a man who had just watched two very different worlds share the same ring and somehow make it work. He said the fight unfolded exactly how heavyweight boxing tends to unfold when pressure, preparation, and ambition collide. Moments of patience, moments of tension, and flashes where you could feel the weight of every decision being made. Eddie pointed out how Joshua approached it with composure and structure, taking his time, reading the space, and treating every exchange with respect, not arrogance.
No, it's fine. You came over to me off camera. Are you okay? Of course. Gutted, but more than fine. You know, it was just fucking breathtaking, the whole thing. I mean, if you want drama, you fucking got drama. I mean, not really in the way that we wanted, to be honest with you, but I'm so proud of AJ because he couldn't have had a worse start. You know, first round, just went back in a straight line with his chin in the air, got hit by a monster right hand. Second round, took a shellacking, was out of the fight. The fight was over. You know, I actually felt at the end of the second round I actually thought the fight was over at the end of the second round, and the third round just holding on for dear life.
At the same time, he gave Jake credit for the way he showed up, saying it takes real nerve to stay engaged, stay disciplined, and keep believing when you're standing across from a seasoned heavyweight under that kind of spotlight. Hearn described the fight as physical without being reckless, intense without being chaotic, and far more serious than people who only see headlines might expect. He stressed that once the bell rang, narratives didn't matter, only execution did, and both fighters had to deal with the reality in front of them.
If we come back and win this from here, this will be one of the greatest comeback victories of all time. But unfortunately, he walked onto a monster right hand. No, I'm right.
Tom, can I sneak one?
And just really proud of him, because I said to him, you couldn't have done any more. When it's all over, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I tried my absolute nuts off in there tonight. And he gave it everything.
Eddie also noted how the energy in the arena shifted round by round as the fight demanded focus rather than theatrics. He added that bouts like this challenge boxing to evolve without losing its backbone, reminding everyone that the ring has a way of stripping things down to the truth. Eddie summed it up by saying nights like this are why boxing remains unpredictable and compelling, because they force the sport to confront new ideas while still respecting the fundamentals that never change.
He felt that he was coming back into the fight, and you know, I spoke to him at length last night, and he was really prepared to go to the trenches. He said to me, I'm really prepared to do whatever it takes, and he never stopped trying. You know, it was hard to watch at times in round 2 and 3, it was, but he never stopped holding on, never stopped swinging, and I think we should be proud of him for that performance.
And flowing straight out of Eddie Hearn's measured breakdown, Tyson Fury gave his post-fight take in that unmistakable Fury tone, half grin, half growl, like a man who's seen it all and still refuses to be impressed easily. Fury said the fight had real edge to it, not because of hype, but because both men actually showed up ready to work, ready to deal with pressure instead of hiding behind noise. He talked about how the tempo stayed serious, how there were no free moments in there, just long stretches of thinking, adjusting, and testing nerve.
What do you make of Joshua's performance tonight?
It's absolutely fantastic. It was a fantastic knockout, and I almost got it right. I predicted 1 round, and he got it in 2, so it was what it was. But listen, you get a bit cocky like he did, and it was what it was. It was what it was. He got knocked out, and that's what a boxer should do to a MMA fighter. So credit to AJ. He did a fantastic job.
Fury pointed out that heavyweight boxing has a way of slowing everything down, making every movement feel heavier, and you could see both fighters having to manage that reality in real time. He gave a nod to Joshua's composure, saying that calm under fire is something you only earn through years of hard rounds, while also acknowledging Jake's willingness to stay in the mix and not fold when the moment demanded resilience. Fury laughed about how people underestimate what it takes to survive that kind of atmosphere.
With anybody. In the heavyweight division, it's what happens. One punch away from being smashed, knocked out.
What went wrong, you feel, with the game plan that Joshua had in that first round?
I think what went wrong is what always goes wrong in heavyweight boxing. Good right hand on the end of the chin. And that was it.
Can you come back from this, Tyson?
I don't know. Listen, it's up to the man, and whatever he wants to do. If he's got a good ambition to come back again and do what he's got to do, I don't know.
Saying the ring doesn't care about confidence unless it's backed by toughness. He summed it up by saying the fight wasn't about flash, it was about endurance, control, and who could stay mentally locked in when fatigue and expectations started whispering doubts, the kind of test that only heavyweight boxing can give. He added that nights like this remind fighters why preparation matters more than talk, because the ring always tells the truth. And in classic Fury fashion, he closed by saying heavyweight boxing stays dangerous because it exposes exactly who you are when there's nowhere left to hide.
What did you think was going to happen tonight?
I thought it was a 50-50 fight. God's honest truth. It is what it is. And listen, you get caught with them punches, and you don't see many heavyweights get hit, get knocked down, get back up to you and continue on. And that's it. So.
And as Fury wrapped it up with that familiar reminder about truth and pressure, the conversation naturally shifted into a calmer, sharper rhythm when Roy Jones Jr. gave his post-fight thoughts. Roy broke it down from a technician's point of view, saying the fight was all about control and adjustment rather than chaos or big moments. He talked about how both fighters showed discipline, reading each other in real time, making small changes instead of forcing mistakes. Roy pointed out the patience on display, explaining that at heavyweight, rushing is is usually the first error, and this bout had long stretches where thinking mattered as much as punching.
And what did you make of Jake Paul beating a former world champion?
Again, I'm the guy who watches highlights. I saw some of the highlights. I like what I saw in Jake. Jake, to me, has always been an awesome power puncher. People don't like to give him credit for boxing, but he is a power puncher. He can knock anybody out there. He can hit cleanly. Effort, but I think he waited too long. People better take Jake serious because Jake is serious.
He acknowledged the athletic confidence Jake brought into the ring, but emphasized how Joshua's experience showed up in subtle ways like spacing, timing, and knowing when not to engage. Roy said the fight felt like a lesson in fundamentals under pressure, where every round tested composure as much as conditioning. He also noted how the pace told its own story, with neither man willing to give away energy cheaply, understanding that fatigue changes everything late. To Roy, the real takeaway wasn't hype or headlines, but how the ring forced both fighters to reveal their habits, their patience, and their respect for what heavyweight boxing demands when skill meets expectation.
Boxing is dangerous when you go in there. No matter who it is, it's dangerous anyway. So, I mean, it could be dangerous for anybody, including him. But if he gets himself in the right shape and continues on the path he's on, I think he'll do all right.
I'm going to try and put you on the spot here. You have to answer in a yes or no. Will Jake Paul become a world champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher.
And building naturally off Roy Jones Jr. Quote, as technical breakdown, Tony Bellew stepped in with a more emotional, fighter-first reaction to what unfolded in the ring. Bellew said the fight felt tense from the opening bell, not because it was reckless, but because both men clearly understood the consequences of every exchange. He talked about how you could see the respect early, the way neither fighter rushed, knowing that one mistake at heavyweight can rewrite an entire night. Tony pointed out the physical grind, mentioning how clinches, positioning, and body work quietly added up as the rounds progressed, even when nothing dramatic seemed to be happening.
Are you shocked?
Of course I'm shocked. I got it completely wrong. I thought it would end within 4 rounds, and it didn't. Well, it did. For AJ, it was over in the first when that right hand landed. One guy comes out and lets his hands go immediately. Josh starts, and he's fencing, and he's trying to box and set it up. It was the wrong approach, and he'll know. I hope he walks in the post-fight press conference and says tonight, made a mistake. I want a rematch straight away, and he jumps on him. Because Anthony Joshua, when he's letting his hands go, is the most destructive heavyweight in the world.
He gave credit to Jake for standing his ground and staying composed under moments of pressure, while also noting how Joshua's experience showed in the way he controlled space and reset when things got uncomfortable. Bellew described it as a proper test of nerve and conditioning, where heart mattered just as much as skill. He also said fights like this remind you that heavyweight boxing isn't just about power, it's about surviving stress, fatigue, and expectation at the same time. For Tony, the biggest takeaway wasn't who looked better in flashes, but how both fighters stayed disciplined in a situation designed to break composure.
Tonight, he didn't let his hands go quick enough, and that's just a game with him.
Can he come back from it?
Of course he can. Like I've just said to you, he's still one of the most destructive heavyweights in the world. It's just tonight, he's had a guy just set about him straight away. I'm not taking anything away from the world champion. I give him all the praise and all the credit in the world, take nothing away from Anthony Joshua's back on the rebuilding road. Do I think he can come back? I don't think. I know he can. All the best. As you can see tonight, I have got the wife, and she is going to get homesick.
And once Bellew wrapped it up from the fighter's perspective, the conversation slid smoothly into Frank Warren's colder, business-minded assessment of what actually played out. Warren said the fight unfolded exactly like a high-stakes heavyweight contest should, measured early, tense throughout, with both men clearly aware that one lapse could change everything instantly. He talked about how the pace told the real story, explaining that neither fighter tried to force moments, instead letting pressure build naturally round by round. Frank acknowledged Jake's composure, noting that he didn't look overwhelmed by the occasion and showed discipline in how he picked his shots, while also pointing out Joshua's experience in managing distance, tempo, and positioning when exchanges started to heat up.
What did you make of what AJ just produced?
You just said what it was, a devastating performance. You know, I always felt whoever landed the first punch and the hurtful punch would win the fight, and that's how it turned out. Well, for how long the first round, before he got clipped, he was shaping up all right, but then he pulled that beautiful shot out and caught him with it. And, he just never got over it.
people obviously try and draw comparisons to the Fury performance, but aside from that, what does that send out in terms of the rest of the heavyweight division? What does that message send out now from AJ?
Well, he's had two superb wins, hasn't he, his last 2 fights? So he's firmly re-established himself, and there's some really good fights to be made there.
Warren stressed that heavyweight fights aren't always about fireworks. They're about control, survival, and who can stay mentally sharp when fatigue creeps in. He also mentioned that bouts like this blur the line between spectacle and legitimacy, but once the bell rings, reputations don't protect you, preparation does. In typical Warren fashion, he summed it up by saying the ring doesn't lie, and regardless of background or narratives, what matters is how a fighter handles real pressure when the moment demands patience, toughness, and clarity all at once.
He was brilliant. He boxed the plan. He'd done everything that I believed he was capable of doing. He boxed behind a superb jab, and that was the key to winning the fight, the jab.
He started fast. A lot of people said if he was to be successful, he had to kind of hurt Anthony Joshua early.
A lot of people said he was going to get beat.
Yeah. When you did drop him in that first round, did you feel like the writing was on the wall somewhat?
I knew he could hurt him, but then again, I knew that AJ could hurt, and he's got a fabulous jab. I mean, an unbelievable jab, and he's got power in both hands, and he's fast. He's got speed, and I said that all the way through. When we were talking about it, all this just gone.
And when you stack all of that together, the tension in the ring, the discipline on display, and the way every voice from promoters to legends read the same underlying message, it's clear this fight was bigger than a single night. It wasn't about shortcuts or shock value. It was about pressure meeting preparation, belief colliding with experience, and heavyweight boxing reminding everyone that the ring is still the ultimate truth teller. From the opening moments to the final exchanges, this bout forced the sport to have an honest conversation with itself about evolution, respect, and what really holds up when the lights are brightest. No matter where you stand, one thing's undeniable. This fight demanded focus, nerve, and composure from everyone involved, and it gave boxing another moment people won't stop talking about anytime soon. Now, I want to hear from you. Did this fight change how you look at crossover bouts, or did it reinforce what you already believed about heavyweight boxing? Drop your takes, debates, and wild opinions in the comments. Let's talk it out. And yo, don't ever forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. See you in the next one.